from a secret location in room 100 of 540 Jack Gibbs Boulevard, this is Craft. I'm your host, Doug Dangler.
I'm at Comic-Con 2014 with Lora Innes. Welcome to Craft, the show. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, I'm great. Well, tell me about your book, The Dreamer, which I see behind you.
The Dreamer is, I started online as a webcomic, and then I think I was only 2 or 3 issues in before IDW Publishing picked me up and started publishing it for me. It's a story of a 17-year-old high school girl, and one night when she falls asleep, she wakes up, and it's 1776. And at first she just thinks it's a dream, but every night after that it starts to happen again, and she starts to get swept up on an adventure back in the American Revolution.
Okay, so what was the beginning of this? What made you think, I'd like to go back to 1776?
I don't know if I want to go back to 1776, but I thought it would make a good story.
Okay.
I wanted to do a time travel piece, and I thought instead of doing a fantasy where she goes to some make-believe world like Narnia, it would be interesting if she went someplace where things actually happen so she could find clues when she's awake in her normal life. So she lives in Boston, and she can go to the art museum or historical sites and kind of figure out what's going to happen next.
Okay. So what's your arc on this? Is this a standalone? This is the beginning of your series. You've got 3 volumes. How many more volumes do you envision?
3 volumes. This is the end of the first big story arc, and it'll be 6 volumes in all when it's finished.
Okay. So are you a longtime fantasy and history person, or was this a new sort of thing that you got to do and explore history?
I grew up with my parents taking me to a lot of historic sites.
And not resenting.
What?
And not resenting that.
And strangely not resenting it. No, we went to like Salem, Massachusetts, and Plymouth Rock, and Colonial Williamsburg, and Gettysburg Battlefield, and all those sorts of things, and it put an interest inside of me. I had a really great history teacher when I was in 9th grade, and he got me interested in this particular era of it. So it kind of was just like a background thing. So when I decided to do this story, I thought, oh, well, that would be fun to kind of revisit that. And once I decided to do that, I just dove headfirst into research.
Have you called the history teacher back to blame him for this particular way that that he's responsible for this in some way?
No, but you know what? Thanks to Facebook, I bet I could find him.
Right, track him down.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part of doing the book? Are you doing the illustrations and the story?
I do both.
Oh,
yes.
That's challenging. So what do you work on first then?
I do scripts.
Okay.
I really love stories that have an ending and they know where they're going. And especially with a time travel story, you can place clues along the way. So I want to make sure that all the writing makes sense and fits together before I start drawing, because it's way more time intensive to do the drawing. So work the problems out in the script.
Right. Which do you enjoy more? What do you look forward to in the morning?
I think I like that I get to go back and forth, because I would get bored if I was doing the same thing every day. So I really love the writing process because it's creative, but then when I sit down and do my rough pencils, that's very creative too, because I'm taking what I imagined and then making it visual. And then when it gets further in the process, then it becomes less and less creative, and I think I enjoy that less. So. Okay.
So do you think that historical comic books or graphic novels is a growth place? Do you see this as a lot more people getting into it, or is this, where do you see that going in the future?
I don't know if it's a burgeoning corner of comics or not, but for me, it's been very interesting when I'm at a show like this, how many people will stop by and either they have a background in the military, they've served, or they just love history. And you come to these things because you love comics or a particular thing, but it doesn't mean you don't have other interests. And so I've just been able to kind of make a niche market and find those people where it's like, oh, there's nothing else quite like this. You walk around all this show floor, you're not going to find anything else quite like this. So I tend to find a lot of people who are like-minded that way.
Well, that's great, and I really appreciate you talking to me today for Craft.
Yeah, thank you.